We're constantly told we need to be washing our hands. So right at the beginning when coronavirus kicked off, I bought this from Asda because it was cheap. It's like 55 pence or something. And it was only when I got it home that I realised it has coal tar fragrance. So James's comment was basically, yeah, well, if we're going to be going back to the 50s, we're going to be going back to the 50s in style. So for that reason, this is the soap I have pulled out to replace in the soap dish. And my goodness, it does smell of coal tar, even with the package on like that. Even picking it up, I got a good, decent whiff. You can even see the orange reflecting in the tap there. Yep, that's a bright bar of soap. It's Wednesday's Channel 5 movie. Lethal Admirer. A woman finally gets her life back on track after the death of her fiancé. However, an old colleague then befriends her with the intention of making her his own and will go to any cost to oh, the suspense. And this is the second Channel 5 movie for Wednesday. Murder-in-law. A woman is pushed to the breaking point, because clearly there is only one breaking point, when her daughter-in-law announces her intention to relocate with her family. Now she will do whatever it takes to prevent her son and her granddaughter from eating too much chocolate pudding. Maybe? Some time in the garden this afternoon. Not as early as I intended to initially, but that's just the way it is. I'm not sure I've done everything I want to do, but I'm starting to get a bit hot and bothered, and I don't want to be hot and bothered, so I'm going to go inside now. But yes, I have spent a few minutes standing here in the last patch of sun in the garden. Good evening. It's gone 6 o'clock, and this is your next thrilling instalment of Liz hasn't really done much today. So yeah, I got up at the normal time, whatever normal is these days. James made me a cup of tea, which was lovely. I had some breakfast. Ooh, I think that's an aeroplane going over. James went off to work. I had a shower. No spider today. There was a spider there yesterday. No spider today, which was always good. As I was in my dressing gown after the shower, my dad gave a video call, which obviously I wasn't going to be answering when I was in a dressing gown and nothing else. Then I had my lunch and phoned my dad back, and we had a good, I think we must have been chatting for the best part of an hour about how we're both finding lockdown. So he lives in Wiltshire with his wife, my stepmum. Sorry, oh no, I thought I saw a spider on the ceiling. I'm not a big fan of spiders, even ones that are several metres away.
I mean, yeah, it's a socially distanced spider, but still, it's a spider. Any road. Yes, my dad lives with his wife, my stepmom, in Wiltshire. And he was saying that they've had quite a bit of chicken recently. They'd bought chicken, they'd eaten quite a bit of chicken recently. And for their recent, the Asda order that was delivered, I think, this morning, they decided they were going to go for some duck, which was a little bit more expensive, but it was different. And there was no duck available. So their substitute was 2 chickens. So yes, I've decided that James and my flavour of isolation is cheese and tomato. Because there's so many things that we have had which are basically cheese and tomato flavoured. It seems that their flavour of isolation is chicken. He also said that he'd bought, they had 2 separate deliveries from 2 separate supermarkets, I think it was, arriving today. Or one today, one yesterday, I can't remember now. But he'd forgotten that in both of them he'd ordered loaves of bread. So now they've got an excess of bread. So yeah, they were having a similar experience to us in that when James went out shopping on Monday, he bought a punnet of mushrooms and a loaf of sliced bread. And then when we had our Asda delivery yesterday, we got given 2 punnets of mushrooms and a slice of loaf of bread. No, a loaf of sliced bread. Let me out of here, I'm going crazy. So yes, now we have an excess of bread and an excess of mushrooms, which James won't eat. James does not eat mushrooms. It's just me. So I was having a conversation with my dad about various mushroom meals that could be eaten. So there's mushrooms on toast, mushroom omelette, mushroom risotto, just raw mushrooms. And actually I've realised there is a tub of cream cheese in the fridge. So what I might do is chop up some of the mushrooms with a bit of garlic, fry them up, and then blend them together with the cheese to make a mushroomy pate. It's not a proper mushroom pate, but it's my cheap equivalent. So I might do that as well, because that will, I might do that as well, because that will use up at least 1.5 punnets of the mushrooms and not get them out of the way, but stop them, use them up before they all go a bit manky and nasty. James is off at work today, so I've been in the flat on my own. My plan was to go out and go do some stuff in the garden, but after I spoke to my dad, I sat on the sofa and fell asleep. I'm good at that. And what was really annoying is I said to myself, I'm not going to go back to bed. I'm not going to go and lie on the bed, because if I do that, I will fall asleep. I will stay here. Head down. And I woke up to the Channel 5 movie. The second one. So today there are 2. Again, I can't remember what they're called. But yes, today we have 2 Channel 5 movies, just as we did yesterday. So that was fun. I was looking at going, I'm not involved in this. I'm not paying attention to this. I'm not in any way engaged with this. So I suppose she's the baddie and she's doing this. Okay, right. But I'm not watching this. I'm not engaging with it in any way, shape, size or form. But why is she wanting to kill her daughter? No, but I'm not engaging with this. So I did go in the garden in the end. I don't think I spent much time out there. I tried sawing a tree. I will remember for tomorrow and for later in the week that if I'm going to do any recording in the garden, I need to go early, or recording where I'm talking, I need to go early, because when I went down earlier, just after 4 o'clock, the family from next door were out in the garden, and they have a young girl. I don't know how old she is, but she does rather squeal and scream, which isn't very conducive for me talking to my phone. Also, I don't want them to think that I am spying on them in any way, shape, size or form. So next time I will go out earlier in the day, when presumably she will be, quote unquote, at school. But that was very strange, though, today, looking out in the garden, because over the weekend the whole family have been out. They've had a barbecue, I think. They've had meals outside on their raised decking area. And so I've kind of been used to seeing them in their garden when I go into the kitchen. But of course today, I presume, the Easter holidays are back over. So, or, you know, the Easter break is over at least. So I presume they're on a slightly more formal school programme rather than holiday programme. So that was kind of odd, looking out the window today. Also, whilst I was in the garden, I think I saw another bee fly, the one I saw yesterday, and it was trolling me because I was standing in the garden and I could hear a buzzing round my head, and it was, you know, not far away from me, but the second I got my phone out to try and record it in flight, it flew off. And it did this 2 or 3 times. I've had an email to say that my shipment, or my order from Wool Warehouse, has shipped. So hopefully that will be with me in the next few days and I can start knitting on my fuss-free festival shawl. I also had an email yesterday to say that Shetland Wool Week this year has been cancelled. From what I understand, basically the organisers don't know what the situation is going to be like come September, October, when the festival is happening, or was going to be happening. So they've made the decision now to cancel it rather than carry on planning, risk having to cancel it at a later date and therefore lose more money, which is very disappointing, but absolutely understandable. I also assume that when they do the risk assessments and the planning for Shetland Wool Week, part of that risk assessment is the amount of medical care. So if you had a big knitting event in a city, sort of Manchester, London, Birmingham, Leeds, wherever, and something bad happened to one of the participants, or more than one of the participants, the closest hospital... Well, that was clever. I didn't make sure I had enough space on my phone. Classic. So what I recorded earlier, I think, has been saved. I'm not quite sure how, because normally when my phone does the whole, hey, I'm full now thing, whatever I've been recording just crashes and I lose the whole lot. But I think I have got what I was saying earlier. But what I was in the process of saying, talking about Shetland Wool Week, was that my expectation would be when big events like this are planned on Shetland, availability of medical care is considered. If a knitting event is held in a big city and something bad happens, then the closest hospital is only an ambulance ride away. Whereas on Shetland, if something bad happens, the closest hospital is either a boat or a helicopter ride away. So I strongly suspect that that had a major impact, or was a major consideration in decisions about whether or not to run Shetland Wool Week this year. So the person who was the patron this year is going to stay on for next year. The hat for this year has already been released and should be available on the Shetland Wool Week website. I don't know if it's going to carry over and still be the hat for next year, or whether there's going to be a new design next year. It's all in the air. We'll find out and see what happens. But I'm now going to sign off because the light isn't great. I think it's about 45 minutes ago or so that my phone pegged out, and I've been spending the rest of the time going through and trying to get all of the video files off my phone to make space for more. And what was really annoying as well, that the clip I was recording earlier, I couldn't move it into its individual folder because there wasn't enough space. All of the other videos I was moving from my main camera folder into the individual folder for this vlog, they were fine. But the one that the phone pegged out on earlier would not move because there wasn't enough space. I don't get it. I don't understand technology. But it's now all sorted. Next thing for me is to go and get myself something to eat for supper, which will be mushrooms. It will have mushrooms in it. I need to take the bins out because we've got the bin collection tomorrow. And then I'm not sure about this evening. I might do some sewing or something.
Dinner this evening is a packet curry because it was nice and simple, with microwave rice, which was also nice and simple. It gives me an excuse to use the new microwave. But as it came out of the packet, it decidedly doesn't look like something I necessarily want to eat. Mushrooms and tomatoes are added just to bulk it out because it was quite sauce based otherwise. Actually, dinner was really quite nice. Although that looks suspiciously like the skin of a chilli pepper.